Things are getting pretty damn intense in this chapter of Kingdom. Wow, so there is 4 different strategies our characters can do right now. Obviously, the 4th option's most likely what they're going to do, unless there's a 5th option that Onsen has discovered that we're unaware of, but I'll talk about that in due time. Still, let's go over the first 3 options. Number 1, they leave more troops in Retsubi than they wanted to in the first place, and then they go send their other remaining troops to attack Gyo, which would mean that there might not be any success in taking the city because they left more troops behind. Number 2, they decide to upgrade and modify the city instead of initiating an attack and going after where they need to go, and instead they make sure the city is improved and it's a good base to fortify and continue pressing forward, which in reality is not a good thing, because if they stay and modify the base, obviously you're going to have the entirety of Zao. They're going to be able to make their armies move where they can defend their capital city and their other cities like Yo and all that a lot better because they've had time to prep. If they decide to focus on working on their city and, fixing up all the problems that's with the walls and the pathways and everything, it would make it to where Zao would be pretty much impossible to take over. Or option 3, you pack it up and you say, GG, let's get out of this hellhole. That's pretty much option 3. Now, I really do like the other option and how it was brought to the table thanks to Kanki and how he just slammed his feet on the table and he's like, you guys, I'm starting to see why you guys are all greenhorns, how young you really are. You guys acting like this, freaking out, giving 3 options, say we need to pack up and say, GG, let's go home. But you guys didn't see the hidden 4th door. You didn't see that there is a possibility that we could just say, fuck this entire city, fuck everything, fuck the plan, and let's go and take over Gyo with our entire force. Instead of leaving behind maybe 20,000 men, let's take it over with all 200 plus thousand men at once. And that is fucking insane. Just seeing how that was done, how Kanki just reveals to see, like, that's the option. That's what, General Onsen was doing the entire time. What he was, thinking of, why he left in such a hurry was to discover if this plan could actually work. Now, knowing how Onsen is, I'm going to assume that there's probably another option, because this man has been proven time and time again that he has some strange techniques in what he does when it comes to war. Like, his war tactics are insane, so there might be even a 5th door that we don't see, and maybe even Kanki doesn't see himself. Regardless, though, I like the way this chapter is kind of letting us know the situation at hand and how bad it really is, because this entire city just destroyed the entire plan of what needed to be done, because they no longer have a supply chain to where they can have supplies go to their army, because if they abandon the city, automatically they're going to be encircled. They're going to be completely surrounded by every single army from Zao, and they're going to be surrounded where they can't escape. So it's literally like a suicide mission at that point. It's straight up a suicide mission. There's just no coming back, because once they leave the city, they pack up and all that, and they go forward, there is no way they're getting out of there unless they win, because of being completely surrounded. They will be surrounded by the entirety of all of Zao's forces. And you gotta imagine that feeling as a soldier when you pack up and you gotta move forward and you realize that there's gonna be enemies at your back probably one day, maybe in a day's time, 2 days' time. That's a scary thought. So when you think about it like that, Quinn is not in a good position right now. They're not. But it just goes to show you how far they're willing to go and how far Onsen is willing to go to win this war and do what he needs to do, especially when he decided to book it in the middle of the night just to discover what he needs to do and see if the plan could actually work. So we're getting to see this man and see what he's capable of and what he can do at war, instead of what our master tacticians and planners can do in the middle of Quinn, the top politicians. We get to see how Onsen, as a general, can develop a plan and figure out how to smart the well-known Riboku. So, besides all this, I have to say that this chapter was pretty damn intense for that. I love all of the tension it brought to the table when you see all of them discussing the battle plans. Shin's trying to think about what needs to be done. He's like, what's wrong and all that with the walls, he wasn't told and all that, and you had Tin trying to let him know what was wrong. And then how, everybody was saying, oh, most likely you already know about option 3 of how he could just, surrender and fall back. But most likely Shin doesn't know because obviously he wouldn't think about surrendering. I mean, this entire war has a lot of meaning to Shin. Shin needs to get this war done. It's the whole point of this is to allow him to eventually step up and become a great general of the heavens. So if he doesn't win this war, obviously he will probably never have another chance ever again. So this means a lot to him. And so thinking of surrender is like not an option to Shin. That's why he would never think of option 3. Now option 4 though, we'll have to see, because there's going to be a lot of lives lost with that option. There's going to be a lot of people that are probably going to die with option 4, because, I mean, when you're pushing forward like that, you're going to get surrounded. That's going to be bad, because there's not going to be any reinforcements. There's not going to be any more supplies. There's nothing. Once you continue pressing that forward button and all that, it's pretty much over. If you stop and, you lose, headway and whatever, it's going to be bad. And if the war drags out or whatever, for instance, let's say they get to go and they start trying to tackle the walls and, it takes like maybe 3 days or whatever, that's going to be bad because the other forces of Zhao are going to catch up to them and just GG them. They're dead as fuck. So they have a really big time limit right now. Like, the time limit is really, really, really important right now, because if they don't get shit done any faster now, it's over. Now, I do want to point out something that I found very interesting about this chapter, which I don't think many might have noticed, but it was something that I noticed kind of after rereading it a second time, and that is the fact that Onsen decided to leave on the first night, and how it took him like 2 to 3 days to be able to finally get back. Let me explain this, okay? So, think about how long it took Shin and Yotanwa to take this town, okay, Aretsuhi. Think about how long that took. It took them about, like, half a day, not even, like, a full day, to really take the entirety of the city. And the main reason is because of, how the city was easy to fall. There was just so many weaknesses to it. Yes, they're skilled individuals, they're skilled armies, I'm not going to put them down, but the city was easy to take. However, because of Riboku's planning, he figured it would take a little bit longer for the town to probably fall, but he figured if they found out the weaknesses, obviously, they would probably get stumbled and not know what to do. They might either pack up and leave, or they might just, sit there and try to modify it, which might fuck over the entirety of the war. And so they had their hopes pinned if they did, take the city, that it would just pretty much ruin the entirety of the plan. However, let's think about this, okay? Riboku is a couple days behind. He's a couple days behind Shin and, Onsen and all of them. He's trying to catch up to them. And thanks to Shin and Yotanwa taking the city so fast, in literally like half a day to a day's time, it caused it to where they had more time to work with. So thanks to that, Onsen has a little bit more time to work with right now. And so that would mean that since he's using like 2 to 3 days to be able to check out if option 4 is available or not, this means that once he's done checking it out and he is back, all the extra time that Shin and Yotanwa gave him will be completely gone. So they'll be back on track, and that would mean that they have no time to spare. They need to start booking it as fast as they can to go to try to take it. So that's what I'm assuming. I think that's kind of the accomplishments that Shin and Yotanwa was able to do, thanks to them taking the city so fast and allowing Onsen to be able to accomplish this in such a good time. So yeah, let me know your honest thoughts in the comments below. I love you all so much. Please be safe. Chibi out.